the 2024 presidential elections. We tell you what Dr. Bawumia and Kennedy Japan have been doing and saying over the period. Stay with us. And whether or not, if Alan Chimanting decides to go independent, whether he would have the number of party bigwigs who have declared support for him, following him in that particular direction. We have some analysis tonight. Stay with us here on Ghana Tonight. As always, you are part of the conversation. Let's hear from you. The hashtag we're using is Ghana Tonight on Facebook and Twitter. Let's get talking. Well, let's settle for Ghana Briefs.
The Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Akuffo-Dampare, has refuted allegations of providing bad leadership to the police service. He contends that his record as the best IGP speaks for itself. Addressing the bipartisan parliamentary committee set up to probe a leaked audio tape at the center of a plot to oust him, Dr. Dampare described the allegations by his accusers as unfounded and without a shred of evidence.
Probably my brother wanted to say I'm the best and he missed it. Because the records are there for everybody to see. The beauty of mankind is that everybody has an opinion and he can express it in any form or shape. And this is the point, Honorable Chair. Since my colleagues and I and the rest of the commands across the country, we committed ourselves to transforming the organization to become the best institution in the country and a reference point for Africa and beyond in a teamwork fashion, based on Genesis 1:26.
The opposition National Democratic Congress is accusing the Electoral Commission of manipulation in the limited voter registration, warning that failure to call the EC to order could lead to severe consequences. Party Chairman Johnson Siedu Nketia addressed a news conference in Accra.
We wish to emphasize that the EC's decision to proceed with the limited voter registration exercise today, despite being served with 2 injunction applications from the courts, contradicts an important precedent set by they themselves during the 2023 NDC presidential and parliamentary primaries. The intervention-happy ECOWAS countries, they better act to stop civilian coup d'etats from happening.
The Ghana Bar Association has expressed concern over the increasing corruption cases and related activities, arguing that they are depriving the country of essential resources. The association's president, Yao-Champo Bafo, also criticized the MPP government for poor investment in basic education.
It is our respectful view that several reported corruption-related incidents involving some of your appointees and also amongst some public officers under your administration, and the largely lethargic manner with which they are dealt with and even defended and protected leaves a lot to be desired. It must be stressed that as president, the painful truth is that the buck stops with you. It is enough to say that it will be a sad period for our democratic governance if such a public undertaking that gave millions of Ghanaians hope end up as the usual campaign rhetoric by a politician.
The Ghanaian Union of Traders Association in the Ashanti region has threatened to close their shops due to customs officers harassing them. Addressing a news conference in Kumasi, the association called for an urgent government intervention.
There are now what they call the regional and national task force, all operating in a duplicative manner. The same applies to the Takoradi Kumasi Road beyond the Adrian Kwanta barrier. Goods with duties duly paid and cleared at the port are many a time arrested by the task forces of customs, leading to extortions, delays, re-examination, which result to heavy penalties slapped on owners of the goods. This has led to collapse of several businesses and relocation of others out of the region.
The Greater Accra Regional Police Command has assured the minority it would provide the necessary security for its planned protest to demand the resignation of the Bank of Ghana governor and his deputies. The service has meanwhile asked the group to comply with the routes that they have both agreed on, thus from the Obra spot through to Adabraka, Ridge Roundabout, National Theatre traffic lights, through to the High Court Complex traffic lights, at Mills Highway, and then a U-turn to the Independence Square. The police in a statement asked the minority to ensure there is no breach of peace and should also conduct themselves in a peaceful manner before, during, and after the protest.
Oh, there's more news on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. This is Ghana Tonight. Coming up next, Inspector General of Police Dr. George Akufo-Dampare faces accusers at the Parliamentary Committee probing the alleged plot to oust him. We have excerpts of today's proceedings and more. In fact, reactions from the security perspective as to how things played out today for you. And the IGP, Dr. George Akufo-Dampare, has refuted allegations of providing bad leadership to the Ghana Police Service. In fact, he contends that his record as the best IGP speaks for itself. He was addressing the bipartisan parliamentary committee set up to probe the leaked audio tape at the center of the plot to have him removed by the president. Dr. Dampare described the allegations by his accusers as unfounded and without any shred of evidence. Take a look.
Made all these allegations in order to cover up probably the shame associated with what they got themselves involved in the first place. And I, an innocent person, focusing on my job, working in concert with my team and all commands across the country to keep the country safe and make it to be at peace with itself. I've been asked to come and answer to these allegations, which are wide, baseless. And I feel in my spirit that this is just not fair. Abuja, it is just not fair. Are we killing patriotism? That anybody can just get up, make allegations upon allegations, and people who go across the country at times 48 hours without sleep, just keeping the country at peace, will be called to come and answer allegations that are unfounded. Probably my brother wanted to say I'm the best and he missed it. Because the records are there for everybody to see. The beauty of mankind is that everybody has an opinion and he can express it in any form or shape. But that has not changed the facts. And this is the point, Honorable Chair. Since my colleagues and I and the rest of the commands across the country had opportunity, by the grace of God, and with the honor done me by His Excellency the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, we committed ourselves to transforming the organization to become the best institution in the country and a reference point for Africa and beyond, in a teamwork fashion, based on Genesis 1:26. So even granted that I'm the worst, then all of us collectively are the worst.
Now, stay with me a bit on this. So we're eventually going to hear from the IGP refuting this latest video that actually came out, which the committee says they have custody of, that captures Bugri Nabu talking about a contract that he was awarded and also some monthly payments and so on. The IGP today says that he knows Bugri Nabu just like any one of us. He doesn't have any special relationship with him, that he's probably met him once or twice. We'll hear from him. But Richard Kumado is a security analyst, has some experience with the national security in this country. In fact, that's the Bureau of National Investigations, BNI. He's joining us on Zoom. Mr. Kumado, thank you so much for your time here on Ghana Tonight. I mean, this was supposed to be an in-camera hearing. The IGP insisted that he wanted it to be publicized or broadcast for us all to see. I mean, was this a recommendation that you, from your security lenses, would support, especially because of some of the things that came out today?
Definitely. We spoke for it. We pushed that the IGP should be given a public hearing. This is a public committee. Others had opportunity of making appearances to the public. If they had gone into camera, there could be some discrepancies and inconsistencies of some of the reportage about what the IGP said and what he didn't say. I'm so glad the IGP was granted opportunity to make a public hearing, and it wasn't in camera. You could bear with me that many of the questions they asked him today and the answers he provided has nothing to do with national security. And I think for once, he was bold enough, he faced the cameras, and he spoke as appropriately as possible. And I am so glad he did so.
And after this hearing today, the chair of the committee, Samuel Atacha, in very typical fashion, spoke to the media. One of the things that stands out is that he says Bugri Nabu has furnished the committee with a new tape. And Bugri Nabu is expected to appear before the committee with the National Security Minister tomorrow. And they are indicating that there is a new tape as well that's been given to the committee. So this is more like a season of new tapes and leaked audios in this particular instance, isn't it?
Definitely. I think something is not right, but whatever it is, we are law enforcement officers, we are professional. Indiscretion has caught up with my three brothers, and they should accept responsibility. In my days in the BNI, nobody will give you the opportunity of a public hearing. They will ask you 3 questions, and depending on the answer you give, the fourth one could have sent you to prison for 5 years or 10 years. And the questions would be, do you know you are a law enforcement officer? Yes or no. Do you know Bugri Nabu as a politician? Yes or no. Do you know his office, and have you had any conversation with him in his office regarding yourself and the job you do? Yes or no. If your answers to those questions are yes, nobody will give you the opportunity to say the tape was dotted or it wasn't dotted. And then again, in the security intelligence, we are taught 4 things. 1 is to master cover story. Number 2 is to escape an entrapment. And number 3 is to be invasive as possible. And number 4, to be loyal to the state and avoid politicians. I think in all this, 3 of my brothers who spoke to Bugri Nabu have breached the code of conduct, and they have gone a little bit too far. And whether they are new tapes and they are not new tapes, there will always be tapes. But the particular tape in question was a tape that the committee was asked to authenticate. And the day Bugri Nabu appeared and said he did the recording, it was done in his office. He handed over the tape to the president. I think that ends it. So we should take it as such. And I'm not afraid that IGP will not be bold enough to answer many of the allegations against him.
No, but I know that you know beyond what you personally know beyond what has already been put out in the public domain. Knowing what you know, plus what we heard today, will the in-camera hearings in the coming days make any significant difference?
Definitely not. I think today's public hearing was the final. It was a showdown, and it was the World Cup final. What will happen in camera? I was surprised they are even bringing the National Security Minister. It should have been the Director of BNI, because the Director of BNI instructed his boys to investigate the tape, and they have the full details of whatever happened. It was even at the BNI questioning. The difference is that the police will interview you, and the BNI will question you. Nobody interrogates you.
Right.
Interrogation is the highest level, and that is not friendly at all. It was that questioning level that the Asari and the Mensah got to know that there's a guy called Ashanti, and then he recalled that when Bugri Nabu called him, he mentioned Ashanti instead of Asari. And so to that extent, the BNI did a good job by investigating the tape. And it should be the Director of BNI rather who should be invited, and not the National Security. After the reason being that the police is also a National Security Institute that is being tried, or that has come to the fore. And bringing the National Security Minister I think it wouldn't make any difference. He should have been the director of BNI. But
Interesting.
having said that, going to camera, there they're going to have themselves speaking to one another. And Dan Parry, with his high levels of emotional intelligence, which he displayed today, I don't think he's going to throw tantrums, and he's not going to be bitter, as you saw in the last days. And that is not going to serve any other purpose apart from cross-creasing, and they will come out with a report. The president then will have the report and decide whether to let Dan Parry go or let him stay.
You talk about emotional intelligence. Indeed, that's one thing that has dominated the public reactions after George Akuffo Dampare's appearance before the committee today, that he was quite smart at displaying emotional intelligence. Even during the break, went around to go and greet his accusers and so on. From where you sat watching this, what kind of signal was he sending during that break time, going around to greet his accusers and even making reference to that in one of the answers that he posed, he gave to a question that was given to him?
I'm one of the few people in Ghana who have been trained to interpret human emotions and use body language. And so I teach what we call creative intelligence, which is a little bit higher than emotional intelligence. And today I'm happy Dan Parry combined the two. And even though he was addressing the chairman, he was directly speaking to his colleagues, and he was appealing to their conscience, and he was saying that we have a job to do. There might be differences in opinions and perspectives, but my leadership style shows that I have 33 years of experience in this work. I have a PhD. I have worked with presidents. I have been around the big boys in town. Come on, I know exactly what I'm doing, and you guys can attest to that one. And that is why he went to them and said, you may accuse me, but accusation is part of the job I do as an IGP. Let's go back and get a job done. And that is what he did so well that I was so happy. Even when Peter Tobo was asking him the questions, you could see he was smiling that, hey, if you have not left the police, you would have been carrying my bag to this public hearing. And you could see the glaring, and you could see the connections. And I was glad he did. I'm just saying that they should call a meeting over a cup of tea or over some Awusa cocoa and who say, bring Boachi and bring, Edward Tabri, and let the big boys come and deal with what it is. Win house and let the public go to sleep, because we have the job to do to protect this country and to ensure our national security and national sovereignty is guaranteed.
Great. Richard Kumado, appreciate your time. Thank you. Thank you so much for spending time with us on Ghana Tonight. Richard Kumado, security analyst, worked with the Bureau of National Investigation, that's a BNI then, which is NIB now, which is the National Investigation Bureau. Okay, but let's hear from Samuel Atachia, who is the chair of this 7-member ad hoc committee. Spoke to the media after today's hearings. Take a look.
I know on top of my head that the matters concerning the National Security Minister will be in camera, but the rest of them will take a quality decision. One of the witnesses, Superintendent Asari, said he appeared before the NIB.
Yeah, I heard him say that.
He said so.
Yeah.
So if he said so, then how does that synchronize with what we are doing here and the evidence? That's what we are attempting to find. I know on top of my head that the matters concerning the National Security Minister will be in camera, but the rest of them will take a quality decision. One of the witnesses, Superintendent Asari, said he appeared before the NIB.
Yeah, I heard him say that.
He said so.
Yeah.
So if he said so, then how does that synchronize with what we are doing here and the evidence? That's what we are attempting to find.
One other subject of conversation, especially amongst the general public, was that video that went viral sometime last Friday that captured Buginabu talking about some contracts with the police service and so on, and his relationship with the IGP. This came up during the interrogation today, and this was the IGP's response. Take a look.
Do you have a working relationship with Chief Buginabu?
Honorable Chair.
Rectify that in a bit and bring that video back to you. But there's been some reactions on social media after this hearing today. Take a few. Take a look. These are some of the comments on social media on this. First off, this one here says, the uncomfortable body reaction of the IGP Dampare tells he's real. It's just a real mafia in a sheepskin. Samira Titi Danso says dangerous with heavy PR works, but politically says go on, and dirty with goes on and sorry, we flipped that. This one here says IGP Dampare is top guy. Composure checked, delivery checked, emotional intelligence checked. This one here says IGP Dampare has given Samija Mfis his tone. Okay. And this one says, in fact, I think IGP Dampare's administration is actually the best so far. That's Dr. George. This one. The commentator says IGP Dampare is on top of his job. His competence level is excellent. Nobody's perfect, but if a person is striving towards perfection, you will know. IGP, to my opinion, is doing a great job, you say. It says, this one says, this NPP's COP, George Alex Mensah, is simply a bitter and envious character, goes on and on. Yeah, okay, but let's hear from that earlier video of George Akufo Dampare and his response to that question about his relationship with Bugri Nabu. Take a look.
Do you have a working relationship with Chief Bugri Nabu?
Honorable Chair, I do not have a working relationship with him.
If somebody alleged against you that you are the architect of the first video, you in cahoots with Chief Bugri Nabu, got these individuals taped, what will be your response to that, sir?
Honorable Chair, that is untrue.
Okay. Well, so that's the response the IGP gave to this Bugri Nabu tape. And just bear in mind, tomorrow, Daniel Bugri Nabu and the National Security Minister are expected to also appear before the committee in camera. We understand Bugri Nabu has also furnished the committee with a new tape. But earlier today, here's the IGP interacting with his accusers, quote unquote, COP Alex Mensah, and then also Superintendent JB as well in the pictures you see there, and then Superintendent Asari, all of them captured in the picture. This was during the break time, and that's what a number of you have been describing as some level of emotional intelligence from him. But we'll see how things play out in the coming days, and especially with these in-camera hearings. But that's it for the IGP and matters arising. Stay with us here on Ghana Tonight. Coming up next, the Electoral Commission has commenced the limited voter registration exercise in all the Electoral Commission district offices across the country. This is despite being served contempt motions. Tonight, the exercise is on our radar assessment so far, and hear from the agreed parties who still have reservations. So we monitored the situation in a number of places. Applicants in parts of the Greater Accra region braved the rain to participate in the exercise on the first day. My colleague Grace Amuajiman was there. Take a look.
At midday, the news team arrived at the Ablekuma West Municipal Assembly and found 19 cards issued to applicants.
It was calm, but they had problems with the network at first. But everything is fine now, so I'm done.
What does it mean to you? You have your card now.
It means I'm qualified now and I can vote.
It went fast. I came on time and they did it for me on time. It's my right to have the card for voting. And as a citizen, you have to vote.
The Okaikwe South District Office experienced a slow process due to poor network connectivity and faulty machines, causing delays in the start and progression of the exercise.
Initially, we had some challenges with the network, which is normal, but now it's been resolved. This NDC, MPP, they are all interested, but so far so good, yeah. No fights, nothing.
Our next destination was the Ablekuma Central Municipal Assembly, which had a high turnout until the rain set in. It's been raining here at the Ablekuma Central Municipal Assembly, but that is the least of the worries of applicants who have turned up to go through the first day of the voters registration exercise. They tell me the card is so important to them because they want to be able to partake in the upcoming December elections, and so they will go through the rain to make sure they get their card. Grace Hamwa Ajuman, TV3 News, Ablekuma Central Municipal Assembly.
Well, this is despite the number of injunctions that the EC was slapped with. They went ahead with the process. Stay with me because private legal practitioner Nick Bakpo Samoa, who is a lawyer for one of the two private citizens, is going to be joining us because they have cited the EC for contempt. But let's go to the Ashanti region and the northern region. My colleagues Ibrahim Abubakar and Christopher Mwakon are my correspondents in those two regions joining us. Gentlemen, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. First, start off with you, Ibrahim. In the Ashanti region, we understand that there were some technical challenges in some other areas as well.
Well, Alfred, exactly. You know, with regards to the machine, in fact, for the Ashanti region, for the areas that I visited, the Askoremampo municipality, the Askwa, Menshia, Tafo, and the likes, the turnout was very, very huge for the first day. A number of the applicants, some who have just turned 18 and others who are beyond 18, were there in their numbers to register. But you know, at a point in time, the process wasn't going on smoothly because of poor network. So, for instance, at Askoremampo, within the Asawasi constituency, you know, in Ashanti region, it is one of the most populous municipality or constituency, I should say. So even as at 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock, they had only managed to register around 40 of the applicants who had come there. And a number of them were still in the queue because they keep complaining of poor network, poor network, poor network. So people were beginning to get frustrated, even though today generally the exercise went on smoothly. So for most of the applicants, what they were calling for is for the EC to at least double the registration materials within these areas so that the process will be fast for them. So apart from the issue of the poor network, generally the election went on very smoothly.
Right.
One area also that the political parties decided to intervene, you know, there are areas where moving from where the person is to the district level to register is a bit far, and some will say they don't have transportation and the likes. So what I was also observed was that some of the political parties decided that they will allocate buses just to pick these applicants to the voting centers for free, because some were not ready to move to the voting center to get their ID card. So the political parties had to adopt this strategy just to be able to get the numbers. So generally, that was it. But you know, because like I said, it delayed and it also rained, and it slowed the process
down.
Also, yes.
Fantastic. Ibrahim, I appreciate your time. Thank you. Let's go to the northern region. And Christopher, so we understand earlier a parent complained about not being able to have her ward, who is 18, register, and the person had to go write exams and so on. What happened?
Yes, so Alfred, unlike what Ibrahim has indicated from the Ashanti region, where he described the exercise today as generally smooth, here in the northern region, it's not as smooth as Ibrahim has indicated from the Ashanti region, but some of the issues that characterized day one of the exercise look similar. For instance, poor network, the rains also coming in, as well as faulty machines from the EC side. And so if you go to the Sagnargu EC office today, for instance, I was there around 8:30 until 4:30 p.m. They hadn't registered even a single person. So because they were resorting to the online registration process, they could not take part in the exercise earlier because of the network challenge and some of their machines being faulty. So they had to later rely on the offline registration, where they just take the details of the person, go through the process, then later, according to them, they will input the details into their system when they are able to work on them. So today, generally, for instance, like I said, at the Sagnargu Registration Center, where Tamale North constituency and the Sagnargu constituency were expected to take part in the exercise. The turnout was high or huge, but the exercise, the EC officials could not register as many people. Only 16 people went through the process, but that is offline. Now, if you go to the Tamale Central constituency, that is the main Tamale Metro Registration Center, where Tamale Central and Tamale South are expected to go through the process for the next 21 days. Now, Tamale Central were able to register only 3. So for that particular section, only 3 applicants were able to go through successfully using the online registration. And so basically in the Tamale enclave, it was generally very low because of the challenges that the EC officials faced. Now, if you move outside Tamale, you go to Saboba, for instance, they were able to register 32. You go to Kumbungu, that registered about 70, and other areas. But the Tamale community itself, AFED, registration today was generally very, very poor. And the applicants and their parents who came with them actually registered their frustrations, because on the part of the EC, they felt that the EC should have tried their machines to be sure that by today's start of the exercise, they would have been able to register as many people, because for Tamale North, they are looking at registering over 9,000. Sagnargu is looking at registering over 12,000. And if they won, they were able to attend to only 16. Then it tells you that by close of the 21-day period, they will not be able to register even up to 2,000. So it's something that is worrying to especially the party people in these constituencies.
Very comprehensive information. Thank you so much. And Christopher Marco, and to you as well, Ibrahim Abubakar, that's the Ashanti and the Northern region, respectively. Thank you so much for your time here on Ghana Tonight. We're hearing that only 3 persons were registered in the Tamale Central area, and there's about 16 for Tamale North and Sagnargu using the offline process. So day one, it's been fraught with a lot of challenges, what we're hearing. But the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Jane Mensah, together with her 2 deputies, Dr. Bosman Asari and Samuel Tete, have been sued for contempt for disregarding an earlier injunction issued against this voter registration exercise which started today. Precious Ayeta, that's a resident of Ochebleko near Afienya, on Friday, September 8, filed an injunction against the Electoral Commission, its chair and the deputies, over the decision to limit the voter registration exercise to their district offices. They cited affordability issues due to proximity. The commission, however, is going ahead with the exercise and commenced the registration, albeit noting it would address the problems raised by the plaintiffs. So that's why the Electoral Commission has been cited for contempt by the lawyer for this first-time applicant, Precious Ayeta. The lawyer is joining us on Zoom now, Nikpakpo Samoa Ado. is private legal petitioner, counsel for Precious Ayita. Nipapo, thank you so much for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. So has the Electoral Commission been served this contempt suit?
Yes, I can confirm that the contempt was duly filed and served on the EC this morning. And so by virtue of that, if they continue with what they are doing, then they are knowingly not only violating the injunction application, but they are also, in the face of a contempt application, still doing what they are continuing to do. And clearly, they would have absolutely no excuse before the court. And in such situations, we will press the court to put them into custody, because if the court does not set an example with them, then anyone at all who has been served with the court process, knowing very well that the date is upcoming, would seek to undermine the very essence of the court process that has been served, with the hope that at the end of the day, nothing will happen to him. We can't have that. That would be a recipe for chaos.
Yet, had any amended information from the Electoral Commission? What we do know is that they are still going ahead with this process. That's the information we have so far. Nothing to the contrary. The process, the registration has started and is going to go on until October 3rd, as they have communicated.
Okay, so we have done what is legally required of us and would expect that the court would pronounce when we get there. Yes, even if the exercise proceeds in the face of the service of the contempt, and I would hope that you would call Bosman Asari and find out whether they have been served with a contempt application. And if they have been served and yet they insist on doing what they are doing, then when the date is due for us to hear that motion, we would also not allow them to purge themselves at that moment, because they knowingly violated the said injunction application which was pending.
I see, but so what would be the consequence of this contempt suit in this situation, now that this process is ongoing? The EC hasn't indicated that it's going to halt the process as we speak.
The contempt application is to commit them to custody, to jail. They're asking the court to commit them to jail because they have, in the face of these processes that are pending, decided to take the law into their own hands. Then it means the EC is one lawless organization. And if the EC, which is supposed to be the arbiter in our elections, is a lawless organization, then only God can save us in this country. Because you see, this EC preaches itself and positions itself as a lawful organization, that it abides by the rule of law. And so it respects court processes. So when it was served in the Dufour case, it abided it and said it will not go forward with any process. In fact, there were two suits on that day, if you remember. There was one by Dr. Dufour and there was one by another gentleman. They insisted that both cases had to be resolved by the NDC before they will proceed to look into the election. And so that is a good precedent, so that if anybody has a grievance, they would expect that the EC will look into the grievance or allow the courts to look into the grievance before they proceed.
So you are asking that the courts commit Jane Adokwe-Mensah and Dr. Bosman Asari, and then also the third person to jail. They should be put to jail?
Yes, because they have knowingly, and Jane Mensah is a lawyer, and the others have all good legal counsel. They're supposed to know better that if they've been served with those processes, they cannot proceed the way they are proceeding. Their conduct is very, very disrespectful to the courts of Ghana, and the courts of Ghana should not uphold such behavior.
When is this contempt case scheduled to be heard, Nikpapo?
It is going to be moved on the 16th, the same day as we are to move the injunction application.
I see, but maybe finally, before I let you go, what next for your client? I mean, the registration has started, is ongoing. So right now you cited the EC for contempt, is going to be heard at a later date. What's your counsel to your client, who also is an eligible voter and has to register?
We would want to see what the EC would do in the face of having been served. We have to watch and see. And based upon that, we would advise them. Of course, we would ensure that our client does not lose a constitutional right. It does not mean that whatever processes have been filed will not still be pursued. Not at all. So we will have to have a balancing act to ensure that our client's right to register is also upheld, whilst at the same time holding the EC accountable. Because we can't have a situation where the EC is above the law. It is a dangerous precedent that we cannot have in this country.
I see. Nick Maposamado, thank you. Thank you so much for time here on Ghana Tonight. This is Private Legal Practitioner Counsel for Precious Ayita, one of two private citizens taking on the Electoral Commission. They've cited them for contempt. But the chair of the that's the chair of the National Democratic Congress, NDC, Johnson Esedun Ketia, has also been raising concerns about what's been happening in some of the NDC stronghold on day one of this registration exercise. Take a look.
Over 90% of centers were not able to print out the required start of the day printout across the country. The breakdowns are politically selective. There is not more than 2 centers where these breakdowns are happening, which are in the stronghold of MPP. All the rest are in the stronghold of NDC. This same judiciary can find time to grant injunctions against people who intend to demonstrate against corruption at Bank of Ghana with alacrity. And yet, that same judicial system cannot find time and space to grant such an important injunction. We wish to emphasize that the EC's decision to proceed with the limited voter registration exercise today, despite being served with 2 injunction applications from the courts, contradicts an important precedent set by they themselves during the 2023 NDC presidential and parliamentary primaries. The intervention-happy ECOWAS countries, they better act to stop civilian coup d'etats from happening. They shouldn't close their eyes on this flagrant disregard of the principles of democracy and rule of law, only to jump in when somebody overthrows that system.
Johnson Esedun Ketia is chair of the NDC. Coming up next here on Ghana Tonight, the new Patriotic Party flag bearer aspirants have hit the ground running with their campaigns for the ultimate November 4 contest, which will decide who leads the party into 2024. There's some interesting developments with the chairman, that's Kennedy Japan, and also Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and reactions to Alan Chamantin's withdrawal as well. Stay with us. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to demonstrate to you the superior properties of Flamingo paint as compared to other paint brands on the market. We take equal quantities of Flamingo paint and this ordinary paint. We then dilute them with water. And now, let the test begin. The gentleman on the left is going to apply the ordinary paint, and the gentleman on my right will use the Flamingo superior paint. As you can clearly see, Flamingo has the obvious better hiding. Furthermore, Flamingo has painted a much larger area. You know, 1 bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint is made with superior formulation to give superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
Everybody knows Acrobato. And if you know Acrobato, it means you know M-Punch Homeopathy Clinic. M-Punch Homeopathy Clinic is my pillar. Let's hear what others are saying about M-Punch Homeopathy Clinic. Who will be careful M-Punch one?
Chesena me ankasa me period no say problems wom ntina ma wo ho idea ma me papa chesena nya asem ketewa na me coin point no mo hwe me mogya mu no mo hwe bibia na so mo meduro me fire no ene ma won kra mienu foforo kwa na me coin mu a eba head everything yourself
me ma me no adwodwo eda ho a wontumi nante ene ne ko end point o mama nuru a ene ne ho idea watimi asori anante.
That's end point for you of Acrobato. Hello hey ohwehwe what che okay a free bra wo di end point wa dance am me call you no me Jones sama na enkoyie e paso na ma yemre nyina na magina sabema na me be fie for there e ho na nyina jaresa.
You heard everything. I have secret. M-Punch is my secret. M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. I'm free.
Who is the ultimate energy personality of the year at the 7th edition of your prestigious Ghana Energy Awards under the theme Ghana's Energy Transition Framework, Sector Institutions as Building Block for the 2030 to 2040 target. You can nominate yourself or an institution for categories such as CEO of the Year, Energy Investment Impact Award, Energy Signature Award, Endorsement, Validation, Industry Partners, Media Partners, TV3, Ghana Energy Awards, 7 years of redefining excellence.
Welcome back. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, GSTV channel 279, all across the world on 3news.com. And Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has been campaigning ahead of November 4, addressing some MPP supporters. He talks about his strength in the strongholds of the NDC, which has also generated some reaction as well. Take a look.
Asem de pao zongo for say omunjindi se MPP omude Dr. Bawumia beba.
Zongo residents say they didn't believe that NPP will bring Dr. Bawumia, but if they do, Zongo will vote massively for him. When Bawumia stands, the North and Zongo communities will be won, and NDC won't stand a chance in the election. In the Volta region, I will garner many votes in the Volta region and all the NDC strongholds. That is why they fear Dr. Bawumia. They know when I stand, I will give them a showdown.
Remember Omu showdown.
Well, so that's Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia there. But then also, Kenneth Japan has been talking. He says that the news of his stepping down is inaccurate. He is going into the November 4 contest to also show his mettle. Take a look.
I'm not going to step down for anybody. If we have to come together, we'll come together. But coming together will depend on how they conduct this November 4th election. But 26th, if he said, you see, although
essentially talking about his resolve to go into November 4 and making reference to some of the incidents that dotted the Special Delegates Congress and the fact that, in his view, the party has to correct those things going into November 4. But in the case of Alan Chimantin, who was withdrawn from the race, there were a number of big wigs of the party who declared support for him. And there's something very interesting happening over the last few days. Take a look at these names. Near equal to, he was in Alan Chimantin's campaign team, former High Commissioner to Canada, former Attorney General John Peter Mewu, the Minister for Railways Development, a Member of Parliament for the Helway constituency. He was in Alan's team. Abnal Sayasari, the Deputy Finance Minister, MP for Tuais, was in Alan's team. Patricia PJ, MP for Asqua constituency, had declared support for Alan Chimantin. And then we had Carlos Ahinkra and also Collins Adumako, both members of Parliament, Tema West, and then you also have Davis Opoku-Ansah, Impraiso MP, and Sylvester Tete, Botiano Glacier Manfro constituency, Member of Parliament. All these persons, in fact, there's another Member of Parliament for the Lambusie constituency, Bright Baligi, and then Katrina Feko, former Tourism Minister. All these people, big wigs of the party, had declared support for Alan Chimantin. But then after his decision to withdraw from the race, a number of them have come out to state what their next step is. And that does not include going with Alan Chimantin if he decides to go independent. Take a look. These are comments associated with some of the names I have just run through. First off, the English Amanfro Member of Parliament, Sylvester Tete, is quoted as saying, "There's nothing like Alan Camp anymore. his MPP camp. Though regrettably, it was a painful decision, disappointed as they are, there's nothing they can do or say. He decided to bring the curtains down on his ambition. There's nothing they can do. So now he's committing, he says he decided to bring the curtains down and he's committing for him, Sylvester Tete, his next ambition is to the MPP camp. Take a look at the next person as well. David Ansopoku, I really do not think that Alan Chimantin would want to form his party or would want to go independent. We all supported him because it's NPP first. And I'm not sure he's going to disappoint the teeming supporters of his campaign. If he leaves NPP, he will not get any support. And all the MPs who supported him will not follow him. That's David Ansopoku. There, MP for the Mpraeso constituency. Dr. Kwesi Amacho Boateng is a senior lecturer at the Political Science Department, University of Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, KNUST. Thank you so much for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. First of all, with these names that I've just run through, seen a number of the bigwigs of the party now committing their support to the NPP and not Alan Chimantin's next step, which he's going to announce in the coming weeks. Do you see more of these bigwigs also falling apart and supporting the party as against going with Alan Chimantin?
There's one thing that to me should be clear to all of us. I'd like to believe that all those people who rallied behind Alan Chimantin, they knew they were participating in the internal politics of the NPP. They were very comfortable with that. They had not breached any party rule. It's a very normal development. I like to believe that people in the other camps, from Dr. Bawumia to all the other contestants, they knew members in the party had every right to support whoever they wanted to support. But the moment Alan leaves the party, ordinarily, I don't expect any person to follow him. Why should they leave the party because Alan is leaving? Did they go into the party because of Alan? And it's because of this that I argued some time ago that Alan's political ambition, which is to become the president of this country, had come to an end, and I still stand by that. One, if he decides to stay in the MPP, he's not becoming the president anytime soon. If he decides to stay in the MPP, look at the age of Dr. Bawumia. He is the future. It is not Alan Chimantin. You know, his personality, his clout has not earned him the recognition that he desires from the party. So if people do any study anywhere and they come to a conclusion that personalities are, now the driving force, fine, that's what they are saying, but they don't reflect on the ground. They don't. Of course, personality, who hasn't got personality? All the 10 contestants, who hasn't got personality? So exactly what is the issue there? If Alan decides to leave the party, that will be terrible. I've argued that in the not in the Fourth Republic, in Ghana's political history, from 1951 to date, individuals who leave to start new political parties don't do well. We know what happened to those who left the UGCC, with the exception of Nkrumah. And Nkrumah's case was different because Nkrumah was the party. Nkrumah was UGCC. He moved around the country to organize people for the party. So the rank and file in the party knew Nkrumah. Nkrumah was the face, the poster boy of the party. The
More than 2,000 people are
they didn't really understand what was happening. They got their politics terribly wrong. You couldn't chase Nkrumah out of the party. The rank and file knew only him. The others were, as we have been given, by information from the literature, they were lawyers and they were busy practicing. They were busy working. That's even the reason why they had to get someone to become full-time officer of the party. They weren't ready to spend their time serving the interests of the party. So Nkrumah's case is unique. Apart from Nkrumah, any individual who left the party, the main party, has never done well.
But you see, Dr. Bawumia is making a bold claim that the NDC, quote-unquote, fears him because he is going to win or pull votes in the NDC strongholds. But looking at all the factors at play, is it that straightforward, Dr. Amache?
There are a lot of dynamics in politics, and time plays a significant role. The developments of the day also matters a lot. So it is an interesting thing. If we want to use the outcomes of the two elections, Dr. Bawumia team up with Nanado to, prosecute, you want to say that, yes, the MPP made gains in some areas that previously they had not done so. But, a lot has changed since then. Generally, if we look at even Ghana's politics, we realize that even J. Rawlings, when he went into the second elections, the votes came down slightly. Even J. Rawlings, they say a similar thing happened to President Kufuor. So now that Ghanaians know Dr. Bawumia, he's not necessarily the same person that they saw some time ago. So I think over there we want to wait. We want to wait, and then we observe other developments, and then we'll come out to say what we want to say. Indeed.
We'll see how the coming days will look like. I thank you very much, Dr. Kwesi Amache Boateng, Senior Political Science Lecturer at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, KNUST. Appreciate your time here on Ghana Tonight. On behalf of the rest of the team, thank you for staying with us. We're back again tomorrow, same time. I am Alfred Okanse. Do have a good night.
Ghana Tonight is brought to you by Flamingo Paint. Superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage, simply superior.